it's podcast time with Kate Spencer and
Emma T,
the
human trumpet.
So today we're going to do a little podcast roo-rah on something that we like to call the ask hole.
Now, okay, so the ask hole. When did the ask hole first come out? Like, because it was a Life and Soul Academy thing. When did it first appear?
I think it was when we were talking about toxic people. So let's have a little bit of let's frame this up. Right, we are not being judgy or mean. This is just an observation that we have made, and we come from a point of view of thinking that everybody does the best that they can, but we also come from a point of view of do your own work, sort yourself out and sort your own shit out as best you can. And we are aware that there are people out there that are struggling, and there are also people out there who are quite toxic and broken, and it's not our job to fix them or drag them through life. And when I say our job, I mean your job either. Be kind, be compassionate, signpost people where you can and support them from the sidelines, but it's not up to us to fix people. Unless, of course, you can provide a therapeutic space to fix them. Well, you don't even fix people. Neither of us fix people, no.
We would never claim the fix.
We would do Emma's a counsellor, and I do bits of coaching and guidance and energy work, and neither of us fix people. We just simply hold space and have some tools where we can help people to fix themselves. So all of that said, we're not being mean or judgy, but also we think this is quite funny. You might not think it's funny. If you don't think it's funny, this is not the place for you. But yeah, the ask hole. So the ask hole came about, I think, it was someone in particular actually in my life who is no longer in my life. Partly because they're an ask hole and partly because of other things. Oh. But yes, this person, and you'll know who it is when I start talking, Emma.
I know who it is already.
Do you?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. So this person,
I just mouthed it to say who it is. Yeah, okay.
So this person used to come to my house, sit on my couch, eat my biscuits, drink my tea, frame it up that they were coming to see you, like they were doing me a great big favour, and they would sit and they would whinge about their situation and they would absolutely dump on me. I would, because I'm a big, kind-hearted, compassionate, nice person, listen to this, try and give them useful advice, hold space for them, listen to them. And they would ask for advice as well. That's important to know. They would say, what do you think? What would you do? So therefore, I told them what I thought and what I would do. And I gave them what I thought was really practical, useful advice. And then they would go. And I would feel like I'd been run over by a bus because they drained the life out of me. And they would feel great. They'd feel brilliant. And they'd frame it up again at the door of, oh, we'll have to do something soon. Kissy loves, cupcakes and rainbows and unicorns and bloody handbags and high heels and clippy clopping off into their car. And anyway, I'm going too far.
Yeah.
So, and then they would then come and see me another time with exactly the same story. Nothing had changed. Nothing at all had changed. Nothing had changed. So I coined the phrase the ask hole, because it's like asshole, but it's ask hole because they're asking you for your advice when actually they don't want advice at all. They're not going to take any action to change, and all they want to do is stay stuck in their drama story, get loads and loads of significance for it, and dump on you. And this, I believe, and this is again from the desk of Kate Spencer, if you don't subscribe to this or it doesn't resonate with you, chuck it out. It's absolutely fine. But I believe that's because this person was seeking a lot of significance because they felt quite broken in their life and they didn't feel heard, and they weren't doing their own work. They weren't in a good place and they weren't prepared to look in their shit cart and do their own work. So instead, they got entrenched in this story that they got a lot of validation from. They really were playing the victim and playing the martyr. and they got loads and loads of significance from it, from other people as well, and from family members, and from friends. It was all a case of poor them, look at what they're going through, when actually much of it was self-created, if not all of it, and they would not change their story. So that is the asshole person.
Okay, what are the common signs of an asshole? If someone's out there listening and they're doing some things with friends or family or whatever, how do you identify an asshole?
Well, for me, it's a person who they ask for advice and direction. They're totally entrenched and stuck in a story, and they will not take action to get out of it. They won't take responsibility for it, and they won't take action to get out of it. And yet they have this stupid facade that they really want to change. They wish things were different. But actually, at a very core level, I don't believe they do want to change, because I think they're getting such a payoff for the drama that they don't want to let go of it. So they'd rather stay stuck in it and have this identity of, oh, poor this, that and the other. You know, it's such a shame. They'd rather have that than actually make progress. Yet they're living in an illusion, aren't they? Because they're saying they want to change it, but they don't really want to change it.
So if you are in a situation where you think you might be with an asshole, it would be the repetition and the stagnation of the situation.
Yeah, and what happens is that you get, and you can probably tell I'm quite pissed off talking about it.
Oh, for sure.
After a while, because what happens is they sneak in, and because you're a kind person and a friend, you give more of yourself, and they take it, and then it happens again and again, and it ends up where you can start to feel really resentful that they're on repeat, they're not taking action, and they're stealing your energy and your time, and it starts in the end to feel like they're taking the piss, really.
Mm-hmm. So how do you limit or get round the difficulties of being in or around the asshole?
Well, this is what I do. So I decided that I was going to listen to this person one more time. I was going to be really, really compassionate. I was going to be empathic. I was going to sit and I was going to hear them one more time go through that story. I was as present as I could be. And then I gave them what I felt was good signposting and good advice, because yet again, they'd asked for it. So I felt like I gave it one really conscious shot of being very, very present and being in the moment with them and helping them and serving them. So I showed up for them and I held space for them, because I knew that if I did that, I'd feel all right about myself. I'd feel like I hadn't let them down, and I'd feel like I'd done all I could. And then after that, I made the decision that no longer was I going to listen to that story and give advice. So whenever they came back with that, I referred to the previous meeting, and I would be very, very kind and say to them, well, you know what I think about that because we talked about it last time. And then I might gently change the subject. And if they kept coming back to it, I would again say to them, we've been through that. So moving on, and I would consciously try and move them into a different energy. But there's an underlying thing here, isn't there, that what was the cost of me being involved with that person? That person was a taker. It wasn't fair exchange. They never helped me. It was very fake on their part. They only wanted to take. So actually, it served me well, because once I started to create that boundary and say to that person, well, you know what I think about that, then they weren't getting the oxygen that they needed. They weren't getting the drama. They weren't getting me feeding into their ego, saying how terrible it was and how badly treated they'd been, and, you know, getting really, really whipped up into the energy that they wanted. So they weren't getting a gain from that. And that's what they were seeking from me. They weren't seeking friendship. They were leeching my energy, my time, and they really were being a bit of a user. So what happened was, once I started to assert that boundary in a really kind and loving way, I finally got the measure of whether they were a real friend or not. Because a real friend, you know, like you might say to me, Kate, you know what I think about that. Stop getting stuck in that story. Let's talk about this instead. And I know that that's genuine. And I might reflect on that and think, yeah, I do feel a bit stuck on that story. I do talk about it a lot. I am going to take some action to change it. I'm going to do some inner work on that and really own it. This person wouldn't own it. And because I stopped giving them what they wanted, they gradually and naturally moved away from me, and they didn't want to visit me anymore. Visits and contact became less and less, and eventually they moved out of my circle. So that showed me actually that they weren't invested in being friends with me. They were only invested in what they could get. So that was
the natural evolution when you put your boundaries in place, that they stop showing up because they're not getting what they want. Can you think of a time in your life when you've been an asshole?
Oh, definitely. I think it's always been times when I've been very broken, when I've felt rubbish about myself, when I've been going through big stuff. But I think maybe being a little bit of an asshole, but then on top of that, I would like to think that I can own it when people do. You know, if you said to me, you're getting stuck in that, we need to change that, or we need to shift your focus or change your story, I would hope that I received that and did some work on it.
I'm laughing because...
Oh, have I been a complete asshole my whole life and you're just about to out me?
No, I'm laughing because sometimes I might say something to Kate and she'll go, okay, I'll think on that. And you know, and you need time and you need space when you've had a reflection. You know, I
struggle making decisions.
Yeah.
And I think you make decisions very, very quickly, and it frustrates you that I don't, but I need more time to make decisions. But that's a reflection, especially of what I've been through.
And that wasn't
because I've been undermined a lot.
That wasn't necessarily linked to asshole, it just made me laugh. So asshole is the person that doesn't give way at a junction or pulls out or whatever, you flip them the bird, you move on, you asshole. An asshole is repetitive, it's stagnant, they're taking a lot more from you, there's no fair exchange there, it's probably leaving you feeling exhausted, depleted, frankly very pissed off when they've gone and wasted your day.
But it sneaks up as well, you see, because sometimes initially it feels like you've got a lot of empathy for this person and you're trying to help them, and it's awful that what they've been through and all the rest of it. And it's only after the repetition of it, when it's clear that they are getting a payoff for continually being stuck in this story, and they're not prepared to take action, get out of it, yet they're happy to sit there and lie their arse off and say, I really wish things were different, I just want this, no you don't, you just want to stay stuck in your drama.
I would expect as well a really, really difficult combination would be a people pleaser and an asshole.
Oh yeah,
someone
for sure.
who got a lot of significance from being the helper, you know, or the saver or something like that, and then that combination would be extremely difficult to...
I think so, yeah, because and a lot of people who identify as being empathic fall into this, because helper type people, or even if you've just got a really big heart and you're a kind person, you want to help and support people. But yeah, I think with that reference, you have to look at what the cost is to you of any relationship. And again, you mentioned fair exchange. There are always times when, you know, you have a friend who might need more support, or you might be the person that needs more support, and that is friendship. That's a fair exchange relationship where someone's going through some stuff, you help them, and then later on, you know, it might be your turn. But when it's constantly one way, that's definitely not healthy.
Do you think, slightly off-piste, do you think every relationship... That was a bit of a burp. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I tried to keep it in and I couldn't. Wow, too much coffee. Okay, coffee burps. That's Kate's just died.
Oh my God, I'm greased.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just trash. Sorry. Okay, so...
One of the things people say about us is we're very relatable. If you've ever burped, you will relate to this.
Oh, well, who hasn't ever burped? I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry because I could have kept it in, but I didn't. It was a conscious choice. I'll claim it. Okay, so do you think all relationships have a cost?
Ooh, that's interesting. I think that for me, it's not necessarily about cost. It's about fair exchange and balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we all give and we all take. And as long as that's more or less in balance, things are usually quite healthy.
So as long as the cost's weighed out.
Yeah, and that can be in different things. So someone in my life observed a little while ago that I do all of the cooking in my household, and would it not be fair if my partner did some of the cooking? And I said to this person, who's lovely and really well-meaning and just said it as a throwaway comment, yeah, but he does a lot of the stuff that I don't want to do. He cuts the grass, he cleans the boiler, he gets the wood in, he's up on the roof, he's fixing things, he's doing things, he's, always dirty and handy and prepared to, get stuck in and do stuff that I'm A, not great at, and B, that I don't want to do. I'm quite good at cooking and I like doing it.
Was it me?
No, it wasn't you.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm quite good at cooking and I like doing it, so why not just stay in our lane? And I don't feel out of exchange about that, because there's other stuff that happens to bring different energy in the household. So I don't feel out of exchange with that. But if that person didn't contribute in other ways, then yes, I would feel out of exchange.
So there's the cost of going to the shops, getting the stuff, the cost of your time to cook it, the cost maybe of the irritation of the dishes, the cost of the responsibility of what are we eating tonight. That's all the costs. But it's balanced because there's a lot of costs that are grass, roof tiles, dirt, biomass that aren't your bag. So there is a cost, but it's just balanced and level.
Yeah, definitely. So that feels fair to me. And I think you're the same as me. We've got quite a strong sense of fairness. So that feels fair to me. But it would, if it fell out of kilter, then the cost would be resentment, wouldn't it? And it would be feeling angry with someone. And
I think it's a cost, and I think it's also a sign of being out of kilter. When you're looking, how do I know when I'm out of kilter? When you are seething, when you are raging,
when you're furious, when you're banging pans around.
I know, and that's how you know, isn't it? And it's the simple thing like follow the feeling, isn't it? And it's follow the bubbles and follow the bliss. If you're in a relatively good mood, you're doing a relatively good thing. Bring on more. If you're furious, livid, seething while you're doing it, it's not balanced, it's out of kilter. It needs a readjustment.
Definitely. So yeah,
that went on a little bit about cooking from Askhole. Did I say that thing about cooking as well? Because I thought it last week. You don't have to tell me who it was, but I actually thought it myself as well. And I was gonna say it to you. That's why I said, was it me?
Oh, right,
because
okay.
I nearly said it to you. But
no, because generally I really like cooking, and I'm good at it. And I think, well, why shouldn't I do that if other people are doing other things? It's not really a thing for me. So, yeah, I don't feel like someone else should do 50% of that to make it fair. I very much work on the theory that if you can bring in what you can, you should. If you're a person who can bring in energy-wise, income-wise, skill-wise, whatever, if you bring in the best of what you can do and the other person brings in the best of what they can do, then that's it.
And I'm
for
so
me.
glad you see it that way, because that's why I've got a job. So thank you.
And that's also why Emma's talking about me cooking. Emma loves nothing more than me cooking, actually.
Oh, okay, it's a fantastic cook.
Emma will back that up. So I've come to Emma's to work today, and I've been to the supermarket on the way here and got us stuff for lunch. And Emma knows that the stuff that I'll have brought for lunch is not going to be white bread and marmalade.
Oh, no.
She knows it's going to be pretty spectacular, because I like cooking.
Avocados.
And I like, it's like a nurturing thing, isn't it, food? And I like doing it, so yeah.
And there's also another podcast that we've just done, What Do You Consume?
Yeah,
you can check that out
that.
if you're interested in the idea of food consumption and the vibes that go with that. There was a little nod to that in there. So, we've talked about
the asshole.
The asshole, indeed.
And how to identify said assholes.
How to cope with said assholes.
How to
not be an asshole.
And how to kind of move them out of your life if you need to.
Gently usher them Clip clop.
Or the other thing to add is, if they don't leave because you set this boundary and you stick to it and you keep referring back to it, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to get the point that they need to change the track when they're with you, or they're going to seek that validation and drama elsewhere. So it might be that the friendship starts to get into a different lane and starts to evolve and things start to improve and it heals. That could be the other option, either of which you're going to be less drained, less resentful, less frustrated, and it's going to give you some energy back. So it's all good.
And actually, while Kate's mentioning drainage, I don't know why that's funny. Drainage and energy. It's like one of those words, isn't it?
Yeah.
While Kate's on the subject of drainage and energy, we're going to record another podcast probably called Tin Bucket Self-Care. So check that out if you're interested in energy drains, how to spot them, and how to plug them. We're going to be talking about that in another recording.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you love what we do, you can find me at kate-spencer.com. If you really love what we do, check out Life and Soul Academy, which is my online membership club where we do loads more of this kind of stuff, and you've got lots of workshops, meditations, content, Facebook group,
and woo people,
and might be too woo for you. But actually that's why it's Life and Soul, because I bring the woo at times and Emma brings the very practical,
by all accounts,
the very practical earthly things like burps.
Absolutely.
So that's it. I think, have you warmed up the trumpet?
Yes, it's goodbye from Kate,
and it's goodbye from Emma the trumpet.
Life with